Kristina, you mentioned about the imposter syndrome, and all entrepreneurs, I think, go through that where they feel like an imposter. Can you give an example of when, all three of you, when you guys felt like an imposter and what you did to get past that?
Yeah. I mean, as I grew through the ranks in my career, I mean, my whole career has been working within very large publicly traded U.S.-based companies. And, every time I would get promoted, I was shocked. I honestly, I thought, I can't believe they're promoting me. Like, I think the biggest imposter syndrome I had was in my tenure with Investopedia. About halfway through, I got a phone call from Tim Forbes, who informed me he wanted to sell the company, and he wanted to do it quickly. And, oh, by the way, Kristina, we need you to help us sell this company. Now, I didn't know what that meant, but what it meant was I had to go to New York and pitch the business to some pretty big players like AOL and MSN. And I'm sitting in a boardroom in Midtown Manhattan pitching Investopedia, going, wow, I can't believe I'm from little old Edmonton here doing this in this glass enclosed Midtown boardroom and pitching to some really big companies. That was my biggest imposter syndrome, but it was an adrenaline rush, and it was one of the funnest things I've ever done in my career.
Do you guys ever encounter imposter syndrome?
I think for me, it's a daily reality. and
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. The team around you is so important, and so for me, it's recognizing that for myself as well, and going, I'm not all that. I got a great team. I got people who trust me, who give me good feedback. Those guys that hit that ball faster and quicker than I've ever seen are happy to hit it at me, and that helps me learn so much. And so
even like when you got the call from Karen, would you come and do this chat?
Yeah, I'm going, really?
Talk about this, huh?
No, because for me, I if you got to know me, I'm pretty transparent guy, and I don't know how to beat around the bush, and so when people go and say, hey, this was great, it's like, man, I didn't do it. There's a whole group of people that are in here doing this stuff, and I'm along for the ride, and I'm really excited to be part of it, and I'm honored to have the team of people around me that I do. But so it's all the time.
Okay. Seriously, Ray, you've co-founded BioWare and you got imposter syndrome, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'll give the three examples maybe. So in my medical career, the first day that you graduate as you get your MD, and then you go on the wards and you're signing things, right? And you're realizing you're signing orders that they're not going to be. They have to theoretically be approved by your preceptor and so on. Later on, it gets less and less for that. But and the same is true, as a resident. But you're signing orders for stuff that has a material impact on the health of people, and you're doing procedures that you've seen once before, and then the next time after that, you're teaching someone to do that procedure that you've done once, because you have a ward of sick people, and you have to prioritize and delegate, and you have to do stuff that has to be done, right? So that's when you stop and think about it, is a little bit overwhelming. And then you realize that you have 10 patients to admit, and a whole bunch of patients the nurses have asked you to see that are sick on the wards, and you just get on with it, right? And you stop thinking about it. And that's sometimes the best. Just do, don't think. So as a doctor, I felt that all the time. And at BioWare, I felt it all the time too, honestly, because we were always experiencing things that we had never done before, and we were always going to new markets and new platforms, new business models, and for us, team was everything as well. Like, our core values are quality in the workplace for our staff, and quality in the products for customers, and quality in entrepreneurship for all of our shareholders, which in the early days were our employees, because everyone had shares and options. And humility, integrity. So humility was something we really embraced. So for me, every day was just like, acknowledging you don't know how to do everything and trying to improve. The one early moment in the early history of BioWare is, I remember we had our second game got released, and it was a huge hit. Normally that would be like a win, right? You got cash coming in, and it's like accolades, and it's like this game, Baldur's Gate, huge game for the time on PC, and built our name, right? And then we built from there. But for me, that was like seriously, I couldn't sleep that night when I saw the sales figures, and not because I was happy. I was worried that, like, what if this is a fluke, and what if I can't do whatever I have to do, whatever that is, to actually make this happen again? And what if our team is depending on it, and we're going to grow and stuff, and what if I can't fulfill that? And I felt that every time we had a staff barbecue and a Christmas party, because I would go at every location, you know, and I would have to, you know, they were like family, right? I'm like, seriously, I loved all the employees, like my family. And for me, it was overwhelming to see all the kids and all the spouses and all the people at these parties and events, right? And realize that, you know, if you make a bad decision, and it's a collaborative effort, obviously, but, you know, you can make decisions in contracts, things like that, that could impact their lives, you know. And you see 800 people from one location and 500 from another and 1,000 another. It's like, you know, families that are all dependent on you. That's very overwhelming too. So those are the things that made me very sober about what we did and trying to be very cautious, careful, but entrepreneurial, you know, trying to take on risks, but carefully.